Let's have a look now at inserting some standalone symbols in a circuit using Autocad Electrical. Now, as usual, I have a new project set up, 08 schematics right there, and you'll notice there aren't any drawings associated with it. I have our IEC standalone symbols drawing open. We're using the IEC standard, which is the European metric standard. So as usual, what we need to do is add the active drawing. So we click on the project, we right click and add the active drawing. Yes, we apply the project default values as before. You'll notice in this case I've preset the sheet number for you. It's 001 IEC standalone symbols drawing. So the sheet number in the project is 001. Let's have a look now at our drawing. We're going to zoom in a little bit first and see what we've got. Let's have a look. We have some information here. As you can see, there's a circuit and some switches and things already in place. And what we're going to do is look at this part of the circuit right here. Now, the reason we're looking here, obviously it's empty. All we've got is wiring right now. We've got a wiring ladder in place, but no symbols in place. So we go up to the schematic tab on the ribbon. And what we do is we go to the icon menu. Now, this is on your Insert Components panel on the schematic tab. So there's our icon menu, and we want this one here, icon menu. And when we click on that, you'll see because we're using an IEC drawing, we've got IEC schematic symbols. We're going to go to push buttons, and we want a push button, momentary, that one there. So we're going to click, and that'll bring in an AutoCAD block for that push button. Now I'm going to place that there. Now you'll notice snap is on. So can you see I'm sort of snapping around and it's a bit jerky? So that means I can line that in exactly along that wiring ladder there. So I just get it to the middle and click. I don't even need object snap on for that. Now when I click, obviously the insert edit component screen comes up. We're going to add some information this time. We're going to start using this dialog box as it should be used. So we're going to go into the description and we're going to put in motor. Now don't worry about uppercase or lowercase here because it'll update. As soon as I tab to the next field, you can see there, when I put in start and tab again, it already capitalizes it for me, so I don't need to worry about that. Now, something I haven't mentioned before. When you put a component into your drawing, if you don't put any catalog data in, what'll happen is it won't go into the bill of materials. So you may need to update and edit some of your previous components. However, there's a lovely tool here, Lookup. If I click on Lookup now, it goes and looks in the catalog for me, the default catalog. And as you can see now, I've got the option of various push buttons here. I'm going to go for this one here. It's going to be red. It's got one setting there, and I'm going to click on OK. That'll put that information in there. Now, item number. You need to put an item number in to make sure that it goes in the bill of materials. I'm going to put in 50. That should hopefully make sure that it doesn't clash with any other items in the drawing or in the project. So if I click on OK now, it updates and there's my information. So there's my motor start push button. It's all in place. There's the push button there. There's the information. Now I can edit this component at any time if I want to. I can go here and click on edit and pick the component, cable or location to edit. Might be a good time now to switch snap off down here on the status bar. If I click there, there's the information. I can go in and edit it at any time, not a problem. Once I've edited that information, I can then click on OK. Job done. So there's our drawing. There's our component added. Now that's a standalone symbol in this particular case, inserted into our electrical drawing in AutoCAD Electrical. As we move along now in our AutoCAD Electrical project, we're going to look at parent and child relationships between our symbols on our schematic drawings. So what I've already done is I've loaded up drawing 002 IEC parent symbols drawing, and that is our current drawing. You can see that at the top of the screen there. What I've also done is set up an 003 drawing, which is our power 1 phase drawing. Now what we're going to do is set up symbols, parent-child symbols, between the two drawings that have a relationship. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our parent component symbol on our schematic. So let's look at that now. I've already placed our push button here, our motor start push button. I'm going to pan and zoom in on this part of the wiring there. So there's our ladder, and it's this wiring here that I'm going to go for. Now, it's a good idea at this point to switch your snap on. That way, when you place the components, you can snap very easily to the grid. You could also use object snap if you wanted to use things like endpoint, midpoint, and so on. I'm going to go to the schematic tab on the ribbon and the insert components panel. Icon menu here. Now, from the previous drawing, it's remembered that we went to icon menu first, so I've only got to click on the icon. And we're still with IEC, the European metric standard. And I'm going to relays and contacts here. And I want a relay coil, that one there. And as you can see, because I've got snap on, it's jerking around, so I can line that in nice and neatly. Can you see I'm lining it in with the one on the left there? And I click once, and that's placed, and up comes insert and edit component. Now, the nice thing is with projects, you can set up default descriptions. Now, the default description I want in this case, I can go and find by clicking on the default button, and I want system enabled. And you'll notice there's a little line in between the two. When I click on OK, that little line breaks it into 2 lines in my description. Very, very useful. Now, we've got that placed. That's excellent. We're happy with that. What we need to do now is go to the lookup, and I'm going to use a particular relay coil that has 2 NO, normally open contacts. So I'm going to go for that one there. I could go for that one there. Now, bear in mind, this is purely for training purposes. I'm not actually building a real circuit here. So either of those would work. Depends on your project specifications, obviously, on which type you would use. But you basically need 2 normally open contacts in this case for the parent-child relationship to work. I'm going to use that one there. I'm going to click on OK, and that places the information in the catalog data there for me. So once I've got to that point, what I can do is I can just click on OK, and that is now in place. As you can see, there's my relay coil, there's K1, K2, which are my 2 normally open contacts, and there's the system enabled description right there. So everything's come in place, it's all ready to go. What I've got to start thinking about now, though, is the child relationship and how I get that to work and link to my power one-phase drawing right here. Let's now look at building up our relationship between our parent and child components on our schematic drawing in Autocad Electrical. We've already placed our relay coil down here. We placed our push button here. Now, it's the relay coil we're going to use for the parent-child relationship. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the schematic tab on the ribbon, go to the icon menu, just as if I was going to place another relay. So I'm going to relay contacts like that, and I'm going to select the same relay normally open contact there, that one there. Now, a relay contact is obviously different to the relay coil itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click a point over here. Notice I've got snap on, so I can snap nice and easily to the rungs of the wiring ladder there. So I click, and it updates, and the insert edit child component comes in. So slightly different dialog box this time. But what we've got to do is build up the parent-sibling relationship using this button here. So I'm going to click on parent-sibling and select the component that relates to that relationship, which is going to be down here, my relay coil. I've put a relay contact in. This is my relay coil. When I click there, can you see that the information comes in? So I've got SS, EX is the location, component tag is KF2, and there's my system enabled description information. Now you'll notice there's some cross-referencing and some pins there. You don't need to worry about that, but we've got the information in place. So what I can do now is I can click on OK, and that inserts my contact here. Now, if you notice, look, if I zoom in, there's my contact, KF2, system enabled. If I zoom in on the relay coil, KF2, system enabled. So you can see that there's a relationship there already. Now, what I would do at this point is make sure that you save the drawing. Now, I'm going to save it later on. I'm not going to do it now. I'll do all of that so it's all saved in the work files for you. The next step now is to go into the drawing that we need to build up the parent-child relationship with. So I'm now going to open up this one, IEC Power one-phase drawing. Now the good thing is it's already in the project, so I can just double click on it and it'll open like that, no problem at all. I'm going to zoom in here, just above the error buzzer. Can you see that there? You've got error light and error buzzer, and I'm going to be using this wire here. Now we're going to go into the relay tools again. So we're going to insert another relay, and we're going to insert relay contacts, and we're going to insert another relay normally open contact here. And I'm going to place that just there, like that. And I'm going to click and pick the point. And you've got the information there now. So you can see that's component tag KF. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on project, open the project list. So I've got installation, location, component tag. I can click on any of these project buttons. So if I go for installation, for example, and it's the SS family I want, so I OK that. Project here again, and you can see there EX. So location, component tag KF. And I need to find KF2. So there's my KF2 there. So SS, EX, KF2, system enabled, and I OK that. So that puts that information in. There's my component tag, KF2. So that is now all in place. And what I'll do now is I'll click on OK. It updates the project for me, and that information is now linked in there. Can you see? So I've got system enabled. If I zoom in, can you see there? SS, EX, KF2. So what I'll do now, if I go back to parent symbols, what you'll find here, so if you look down here now, can you see it's been updated? The information's been updated here. And if I go to here, the information has been updated here as well. So it's all in place, all updated, and all linked. Now the best thing about that is obviously I've got two different drawings there, but I'm linking the information so that whoever is going to construct this circuit knows where things are and know what relates to everything else. That's the benefit of these projects and linking the information together. Those cross-references are very important, obviously, because you want to make sure that the circuit is connected properly. You may get the instance where you're inserting schematic symbols and contacts where you overload the system. So you might insert too many contacts for our relay coil that actually has only 2 normally open contacts. So what might happen? I'm in the IEC parent symbols drawing again. If I go back here to the icon menu and I go to relay contacts and go for a relay normally open contact like so. And I'm going to place that there in the parent symbols drawing. And what I'm going to do is go to project, SS like before, project again here, EX like before, and then I need project again here, and I go for KF2 for the system enabled there, that one there, SS, EX, KF2. As soon as I click on OK, it'll alert me that I've exceeded the contact count value that is carried on the parent component. Obviously, because I'm trying to add a third contact to a relay coil that only has 2 contacts. You can see the 2 contacts there. Look, K2, K1. There's the only 2 contacts available, and I've already inserted 1 contact up here and 1 on the power 1 phase drawing. So if I OK that now, it takes me back to the Insert Edit Child Component dialog box to allow me to change my settings. Now I can't change my settings in this case, I'm not too worried either, I'm just demonstrating that alert that you may get there. So I just cancel that and we're back to our drawing again. So be very aware that Autocad Electrical works in the background, allowing you to work these things out. You don't have to do them in your head. If you overload a 2 contact symbol, like my relay coil, it'll tell you when you try to insert that 3rd contact and link it to the same relay coil in the same project. It's a very, very handy feature. Stops you making mistakes. It removes that manual component to any electrical drawing by allowing you to automate what you're working with. In the exercises we've done previously, we've had symbols, components, all inserted into our schematic drawings. And luckily, we've actually had catalog parts that we can go and find and add to the particular drawings we're working on. In this case, I've got a drawing open. It's called Catalog Part Numbers. And you can see I've got a power block and a circuit connector bar there. First thing I'm going to do, Project, right-click, add the active drawing to the project and say yes to the project default values. As you can see, that's got an 03 against it as the sheet number. I'll just update that, make sure it's got the appropriate sheet number, which will be 004. And then what I'm going to do is start looking at how I catalogue these particular parts. It's quite important that you know about this because sometimes when you're working with parts in a drawing, such as power blocks and circuit connectors, they might not be related to the project database. There might not be any catalogue parts available. Now, if that's the case, let's say, for example, our power block hasn't got a catalogue part there, what would happen is that would be in the drawing, but it would not become part of the bill of materials because it didn't have a catalogue part to link it into the database. So let's look at that and how we would rectify that situation. If I select my power block there in the drawing and I right click and select edit component there on the flashlight system, all the information's there. There's the component tag, there's the description, power block 1. But if I go over here now to look up and click here, you'll see that there's nothing in the database. There's the MDB file, which is a Microsoft Access database relating to your electrical drawing. So how would I add to the database? How would I add some component catalog parts to the database? Well, you'll notice there's only one button highlighted, which is adding a catalog item. So if I click there, you'll see this great big dialog box appear just to the left there. I'm going to drag it so it's central on the screen. As you can see, I can select a catalogue that it comes from, of which there aren't any for this particular power block, and I go in and I add the information I need. Now, in this particular instance, I'm not going to change anything. I don't want to change the database because I've got it all set up for training purposes right now. But if you were working in a live electrical project, you might have a power block that you're using on that project that is in a catalogue, as in a physical catalogue that you look through, either on the internet or it's on your desk. You can go in, list the catalogue, add it to the database, add the manufacturer, and so on and so forth. There's nothing to stop you typing in a catalogue there. It is a required field. You can see that by the asterisks and the bold type. As you add information, you can force the text into uppercase, which I always do. So you can tick that little box and it'll all update to uppercase, which is very useful. I'll click on cancel there, and I'll click on cancel again there in the parts catalogue. And I'm going to cancel that also because I'm not going to change that power block in this case. What about our circuit connector though, here? If I click on that and right click and do an edit component, you'll see it is a Hubble manufacturer, catalogue, assembly, item, all the information's there, connector 1 and it's on circuit 1. I can add all of that information in, but the nice thing is when I go look up, it's already part of an existing catalogue. So I can go and use any information from that catalogue, put it into my Autocad electrical drawing, and the information is there in the bill of materials because it's got a catalogue part number. I'll just cancel that because I don't want to change anything. Cancel that again. So that is how you work with these catalogue part numbers. They're very important because they link to the bill of materials. When you're pricing up your project, once you've drawn it all up and all the circuits are linked and all the parts, components and schematics are ready, you need to be able to go to that bill of materials and make sure that everything is linked to the project. In order to do that, everything needs a catalogue part number. So make sure that you check that. Unlike our little power block here, that hasn't got a catalogue part number. So what we need to do is make sure that it does have a catalogue part number by inserting the details into that dialog box I showed you. We're now going to look at terminal jumpers and associations. So what we've done, we've gone back to a JIC, Imperial American Standard Project. It's here, 08 Schematics JIC. I've got a drawing open, JIC Wiring Schematic 1. You may recognize it from previous videos in the course. And what we're going to do now is look at adding some terminal jumpers, some terminal connections to this particular part of the project. Before we do anything though, what we do is we select our project and get into the habit of right-clicking and adding the active drawing to the project and applying the project default values. Again, I can't stress how important this is. It's very important to add the drawing to the project so that everything is linked together. So if I click on the plus sign now, there's my 001 JIC wiring schematic 1.dwg. You'll notice it's got a sheet number of 001. I've already placed that in the drawing, so we're all ready to go to add our terminal jumpers. If you've got something like this, a wiring ladder, so there's my rungs there, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And you can see some of them are numbered based on how we set up the rungs and the ladder when we set this up in a new drawing. What I'm going to do now is go up to the schematic tab on the ribbon, and I'm going to select here multiple insert from the icon menu. Okay, so I click there and it takes me to the icon menu as if I'd clicked on the icon menu on the left hand side of the panel in the ribbon. But what it's allowing me to do now is add multiple objects all in one go. There's my terminal icon there. And what I'm going to do now is select the terminal or connector I want to use. Now these are JIC, they're American Imperial Standard. I'm going to use a round symbol with the terminal number, that one there. You then get this weird prompt. It doesn't actually give you the option to put a symbol in just yet. What it's asking you to do is specify a component fence from a point. Now, if you've used Autocad before, the vanilla Autocad, you'll know that the fence command allows you to draw a line through a group of objects and apply a particular command to those objects selected by that line. This is exactly the same, but what you're doing now, those lines are smart lines that form your wires, and you're putting a fence through the wires where you want the component to go. So make sure that you've got your polar tracking on. That way you can get a nice vertical line. I've got snap and grid on there as well. I'm actually going to turn those off down there on the status bar. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to click, and as I drag, look, there's my polar tracking locking in. So keep it vertical, the vertical line there. Can you see the green dash line indicating that polar tracking's on? Click there, and there's my component fence line. So 2 points going through those 4 rungs of the wiring ladder. I then press enter to confirm, and it will prompt me, do I want to keep that first terminal jumper? You can just see it highlighted here. I'm going to say yes to keeping that one by clicking on OK. Then the insert terminal symbol dialog box appears. Now, I've already pre-filled the installation, location and tag strip numbers, but I want to start from a certain number. So I'm going to start with 1, nice and easy, simple, and I'm going to click on OK. Now, I've got the option, I'll just move that across here so that we can see what's going on, to keep this one here. This one's already updated. I can keep all of them and don't ask, or say no to skip to the next. So I can draw that component fence through, but I don't have to have a terminal jumper on every single rung of the wiring ladder. I can skip if I want to. If I show the edit dialog after each and do keep all, don't ask, it'll prompt me every time to update each terminal symbol. Now, if I had unticked that box, this dialog box would not come up. It would just put 4 of the same on each of the rungs of the ladder. So if I click on OK, each time it brings up the dialog until I've done all 4. When I click on OK now, that's it, job done. So let's zoom in on the first 2 there. And as you can see, look, SSEX, and then number 1, number 2, and it's 001 is the type, and it's giving you a number for each one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's my terminal jumpers all set up going through the rungs of my wiring ladder.